playing with me. Hey everyone, it's Lanna George here with By George Organizing. I am so glad to see you today, and I am so excited about this Valentine's special that I thought I would come on and talk with you about. I know that tomorrow is Valentine's Day, and that means there's a lot of love in the air. We're going to be talking about those special people in our lives. And so I know that sometimes those special people are not always like us if we're organized, or we have these struggles within our relationships to, hey Amy, hi, how are you today? Glad you're here with me. So we struggle with our relationships when we maybe have someone who's messy and someone who's not so messy, and we don't know how to connect and how to overcome the struggles and the challenges that can bring about. And I will tell you that I know from personal experience, because I have been happily married to a wonderful man for 25 years. And so I thought I would show you a picture. Here's a picture of us. This was taken 2 Christmases ago, I think. Yeah, 2 Christmases ago. We've been married for 25 years. And I have to be honest, I did not marry the man for his organizing skills. Hi, Susan. How are you? So nice to see you today. Glad you remembered to join me. But we've been married for 25 years, and I didn't marry him for his organizing skills. I can promise you that. I married him because he's funny and he's outgoing. He's my complete polar opposite. So I know what it's like to live with someone, Amy, who's less than tidy. And it's very, very hard to do that and not to get frustrated and overwhelmed because maybe they're messy and you're not. So I want to give you some tips using the word love to help you figure out how to live with that not so organized love of your life. And so I'm going to give you just a few little tips today that I hope will help you out. So the first thing I want to tell you starts with L. Okay, L, and that is for learn to find ways to make organizing and decluttering easier for them. Learn how to make organizing and decluttering easy for them. So I've said before that everybody has their own organizing style. You know, it's not one size fits all. It is, very personable to each person. And so I think that sometimes we set up our homes in ways that work for us personally, and we forget about the other people in our lives, and we expect them to function like we do. And the problem is they don't. They don't necessarily have the same organizing style. And so we need to identify that and help them to organize their way. Now, let me give you an example. My husband is, like I said, the opposite of me. And so I will walk into our bedroom and into the closet to put away the dirty clothes. Well, when he gets home, he just likes to dump all the clothes right there and change into more comfortable clothes. And it's just sitting right there, and it drives me absolutely bonkers. And I just like, can't you just take a few more steps to put them away in the dirty clothes hamper? And he's like, yeah, no. So I said, okay, what if I did this? What if I put a basket right there? Would you put them inside? He's like, absolutely. Problem solved. So it's just finding ways to, make it easier for them, ways that work and function better for them. I'm a person who likes things hidden away. He doesn't. So sometimes I have to leave things out to make it easier for him to be organized with his stuff. Instead of having lidded containers for things, I have containers that don't have lids. Or instead I put all my shoes in boxes, his just sit out on the shelf. So you have to find ways to help them. That's how to help them organize, how to help them declutter. Well, maybe you suggest, hey, why don't we declutter together? Or why don't we, just deal with this small stack of things and declutter it? Because I think sometimes, and I know this happens for everybody, decluttering can be overwhelming, and it can be, you don't know where to go. And so if you have somebody there that's going to kind of walk you through and ask you questions, it can be easier for them. So maybe you can do that with your person, that special someone in your life. So think about ways that you can do that. Another thing that I would highly recommend is this book. It's called Organizing for Your Brain Type. And in it, and I'll put it in the links below, but in it, Lanna, Nakone, I think that's how she says her name, she talks about each person's individual organizing style. And if you can read through this and figure out what's your organizing style and what your special someone's organizing style is, then you can figure out, hey, now I understand how they think, how they function, how they work when it comes to organizing and decluttering. And it can really make a big difference for you and your relationship and the peace you have in your house. Okay, so that is L. Learn their organizing style and see how you can make it easier for them to organize and declutter. Okay, then we've got O. O is offer to compromise. Now, it's hard when you are an organized person because you want everything kind of just so. And you have to be willing in any relationship to make some compromises, okay? And because it can't always be one-sided. So we have to find ways to compromise with our organizing. And one thing that I would suggest that you do with that special someone in your life is to give them a messy zone of their own that you never nag them about, okay? Now, I'm not talking about the entire house. I'm just talking about 1 or 2 spaces that they feel free to lead whichever way they want, and you don't bug them about it. Now, for my husband, that is the garage and his nightstand. He's got those, and he's got a workstation upstairs that he's doing a project on right now that I don't bug him about it. He can do whatever he wants, leave it any way he wants, because if he does those spaces any way he wants, he's more inclined to help me keep the other spaces in the house clean. And so I'm not always nagging him about it. Hi, Suzette. I'm so nice to see you today. Hope you're doing well. So give them a mess zone of their own. His nightstand, it's just covered with stuff and drives me crazy. If you look on the other side of my stand, there's nothing on it. But you know what? That's okay because he has this space and he feels fine about it. So I think that we just need to find a way to make them not feel like they always have to have every part of the house organized. The second thing that you should probably try out is to ask them, can we compromise that certain parts of the house are just clutter-free? Can we define 1 or 2 areas of the house that are clutter-free for your sake and for their sake and for company's sake? So maybe it's the living room and the kitchen. Maybe it's the bedroom and the office. It's really up to you, what that is. It's going to look different for everybody. But if you can agree to maybe some clutter-free zones. Hi, Valerie. How are you? If you can agree to some clutter-free zones, then it makes it a little bit easier that everybody knows that this is clutter-free and everybody's got to do their part to keep it that way. So really try to define which of our areas of our house do we really want to stay clutter-free, and that will help as well as part of the compromise. And then finally, you need to come to some agreeable terms for dealing with your stuff. So if you've got a lot of collections or you've got a lot of what's the word I'm looking for? Memorabilia or some items that you don't want to declutter, but they're taking up space that you need desperately in your home, then one of the things that I would suggest is to maybe tell your favorite person that, hey, heck, this is kind of taking up some space that we really need. How about we compromise and we put it in a box and we label it and we say, if we haven't looked at it in 6 months, can we both agree that we'll give it away, what's in here? You can make the terms different, 2 months, 6 months, a year, however you want to do it. But if you can compromise, instead of just going and saying, we need to get rid of this junk of yours, okay, that's not going to be, there's not going to be a willingness to want to get rid of that. But at least you compromise and you can get it and put it away in a box somewhere else for a little bit. And then, maybe they'll understand, hey, I haven't seen it, haven't used it, haven't needed it. We can probably let it go. But it's all about compromise. So you have to be willing to make that compromise. So O is offer to compromise. Yeah, Suzette said she can relate. Yeah, it's great when you can find a way to compromise. V is for verbalize. Now, it's really important. I think that you need to be able to verbalize how you feel with your special someone about the clutter and the disorganization in your life. I don't think that you should walk around if it's bothering you and not say anything. Because if they're disorganized, it's not a big deal for them. They probably think it's not a big deal to you either. But I think you need to be able to verbalize your desires and your frustrations. The key is how you verbalize it. So one thing you don't want to do is nag. I think everybody can agree that anybody that nags in a relationship is not going to get very far. There's a proverb that says it's better to live on the corner of a roof than with a nagging spouse. So we don't want to nag. Why aren't you picking this up? Can you pick that up again? That's not going to get you anywhere, okay? So make sure you're verbalizing the right way. Another way we don't want to verbalize is by bringing up their shortcomings. Why do you always have to be so messy? Why can't you keep things organized? Again, those are not going to be ways that are going to be effective. So how can we verbalize in a way that lets them know what we want, what we're desiring, and lets them, understand what we're trying to accomplish? So I would recommend, of course, I'm not a counselor, but I would recommend, and this is what I tell my clients, to start with I sentences. I really would like to see our home more organized. I really would like for us to have less stuff. Okay? That way you're putting it on you and not with them. So you're not hopefully not going to get that confrontation. Make sure you start with that I, and then just say, is it a way that we could come to terms about the stuff in our house or the way we're living, or however you want to phrase it. Or maybe, like I said, you can find other ways to say things like, I noticed that you don't like to put this back in this spot. Is there a better spot we could put it in that would help you always know where to find it? Or, like I said, with my husband, I said, I noticed you don't like to go all the way into the closet. What if we tried this? So again, we want to start with those I sentences. And if possible, try to start with something positive they do, then maybe talk about the negative and then reinforce the positive like a sandwich. So, start with I and then work your way to how you want to get across your ideas, your frustrations, and what you really long for. Don't be afraid to make that clear. So that was V. We want to verbalize and communicate. It's really, really important. As a matter of fact, most relationships, communication is the most important, one of the most important things you can think of. And then finally, we have E. E is for example, okay? You need to be the example. If you want to have a space that's organized, then you have to set the example. If you want to, have less paperwork, then you just can't be laying things down. You kind of have to take the effort to put things away as well. And you may think, well, that's not, I already do that and they're not doing it. But when you're actively doing it over and constantly rather than nagging and, being frustrated, it really will make a difference. I had a client about 2 months ago, and she wanted me to come in and help her with a space that was an office space that they both had the 2 desks. And her husband was very messy, and she was frustrated because she needed to create a space. So we went through and we cleaned out all the stuff, and everything that was his, we just put into the corner for her to talk with him about or for her to deal with him for later. And when I came back, I think 3 weeks later, she said, he has already started to go through his stuff because seeing my stuff cleared out, seeing my stuff organized has gotten him to realize how the space is looking, and he wants it to look like mine. So it's amazing how we can do that just by setting the example. So I want to really encourage you to set the example with your habits, to set the example with your efforts, because love is not just a feeling, it's an action. And so I think sometimes we have to remember, what are our actions saying? What are we doing to really encourage other people in their organizing efforts? All right, so E was for example. Finally, this doesn't go with love, it's just a bonus I'm throwing in there for you today because you guys are awesome, is the last thing I want you to remember is patience. It takes so long to get your not so organized special someone in your life to come out of the dark ways into the light of organization, okay? Like I said, I've been married for 25 years, and it has taken a very, very long time for my husband to start making to-do lists, to start purging through his stuff before we go shopping, or, to just even start doing some organizing habits. But I want to encourage you that it's possible, okay? And here is proof that it's possible. This is my husband. Oh, sorry, it's my sticky note to remember patience. this is my husband, and I caught him one day using my label maker, okay? I'm gonna tell you, I really thought I was gonna fall over and faint when I saw this. I love this man to pieces, but when I saw this, I loved him 10 times more. Because I was just like, oh my goodness, it's catching on, it's catching on. So it's proof that you can, you can't change somebody else. They can only do that themselves. But by letting them be themselves, by, compromising, by communicating and verbalizing to them, by setting that example, you can help bring about change in their life. So I just want to encourage you with that today as you go about. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the tips. I will put the book title. I'll also put some links to some blog posts. Thank you, Susan. Thank you, Suzette. And I just really hope that you're encouraged to know that it is not the end of the world, that there is hope for you. It may not happen overnight, but change will come, and you won't be a house divided by disorganization. Hopefully you will become a house united. So anyway, have a great Valentine's. Thanks for joining me today, and take care. I will look forward to seeing you again really soon. Okay, see you soon. Bye.